Hello, I am Dirk Meyer, Music Director of the Augusta Symphony. COVID-19 has unfortunately impacted our ability to bring our community chords ensembles into larger group settings. But we have come up with the next best thing. We have recorded our chamber ensembles and produced some wonderful videos. This way, our musicians still get to share the joy and excitement of their performance, and we still get to enjoy it. If not live, then digitally. I hope you will enjoy the performance, and please welcome the Augusta Symphony Brass Trio.
Hi, my name's Prentice Hobbs. I'm principal trombonist with the Augusta Symphony Orchestra, and we just got through playing for you a piece by George Frederick Handel, which we'll explain a little more about that later. Right now I'm going to talk to you about the brass instrument, specifically the trombone. To have a brass instrument, all you really need is a mouthpiece, a length of tubing, and a bell. Now, there's something very unique about the trombone. It does something, uses the slide to change notes. And let me just demonstrate how that works. Now, if you noticed, I went back and forth to change notes. And if you also noticed, when I went further down, the sound got lower. And when I pulled the slide in, the sound got higher. Now, with the other brass instruments, the trumpet, the French horn, and the tuba, they all use something called a valve, and it looks like a little button that they push with their fingers. Now they do the exact same thing we do, except we do it with the slide. And what they do is they change the length of the instrument or the amount of tubing they use. Again, if you notice, when my slide is further out, the sound goes lower. And when I bring it back in, the sound goes higher. And the same thing with the trumpet, the French horn, and the tuba. Now, this is the shortest amount of tubing with the slide all the way in. With valve instruments, when the valves are all the way up, that means that's the shortest amount of tubing they're playing through. With the valves all the way down, that means they're playing through all the tubing they have on the instrument. So for our next piece we're going to play, we're going to do two Schumann pieces that were transcribed from piano.
Hi, my name is Kate Jenkins, and I play second trombone in the Augusta Symphony Orchestra. And I want to tell you a little bit about the trombone family. As you can see, trombones come in different sizes. The one I'm holding now is called the tenor trombone, and that's kind of the most common trombone. When you start playing trombone in school, I started when I was in 4th grade, and I started on a tenor trombone, and that's what most students start on. So that's this instrument. This one right here is called an alto trombone, and you'll notice that it's quite a bit smaller than the tenor trombone. And every once in a while, I'll play this in the orchestra. And since it's smaller, the pitches are going to be quite a bit higher. So let me play just a little bit of this for you so you can hear it. So that's what an alto trombone sounds like. There's also an even smaller trombone called a soprano trombone, but you don't see that too often. Sometimes jazz musicians might play that for a solo. It plays the same pitches as a trumpet does, but it has a slide, so that's a lot of fun. And then you're going to hear a little bit later from our bass trombone player, Eric, and he plays the bass trombone, which is quite a bit bigger, and so they play quite a bit lower. And I want to tell you a little bit more about the tenor trombone. For the students who start in 4th or 5th or 6th grade, they're not going to have all this extra tubing on their instrument. They're going to play a straight tenor trombone. And the difference is it doesn't have this tubing with a valve. And also it's a little bit smaller. So the diameter of the bore size is a little smaller. So the tube that they blow through is smaller. And it makes the pitches just sound a little bit more brilliant, kind of a brighter sound. And a straight horn is something that also jazz musicians will play. Very often they'll play on a straight tenor trombone. So this tenor trombone has the extra tubing and the valve, and this is what's used most often in an orchestra. And the reason I have this valve, the instrument overall is a little bit bigger, so it sounds more mellow and kind of a big sound. And then also the trigger allows me to do some things that I'm not able to do on a straight tenor horn. So, for example, if I don't have a trigger and I have to play something fast like this, that can be kind of difficult. But if I use my trigger, then I can just play it like this. And it just makes everything a lot easier. The other thing is that I can play some lower notes that a straight tenor trombone is unable to play. So these are some of those lower notes. So those low notes are impossible to play on a straight tenor horn. So that's another reason why we have this instrument. And the next piece we're going to play for you is a jazz arrangement of Little Brown Jug.
My name is Eric Kenson, and I'm the principal bass trombonist of the Augusta Symphony. And I'll tell you a little bit more about my instrument in a few minutes, but right now I want to talk about the music that we've been playing. The trombone is a relatively new instrument in the orchestra. It wasn't until the late 1800s and the 1900s that composers really began to use the instrument in the orchestra. And it was even later, into the 20th century, that composers started to write music specifically for trombone ensembles, trombone trios. So all of the music that we've played today so far have been transcriptions of music for other instruments. Some pieces that we played earlier were transcription of piano pieces. Even The Little Brown Jug is a transcription of a piece that might be originally played with a jazz band. So the next piece that we're going to play for you is from a Beethoven piano sonata, and that is from the 12th piano sonata, and it's opus number 26. So as Kate mentioned, I play the bass trombone, and the big difference between the bass trombone and the rest of the instruments in the family is I have an additional loop of tubing that allows me to play substantially lower than the other instruments. So for example, if I play a scale, I can go quite a bit lower than the tenor and alto trombone. Now you might already be familiar with the bass trombone because of movie soundtracks. Composers like to use the bass trombone for a sound effect when something dramatic happens. So for example, is this idea. Composers might use a sound like that in an action movie. It really makes it sound very dramatic and really very exciting. But the other thing that the bass trombone gets to do is we get to play low, very noble, very stately melodies as well. So here's another one from the end of an opera called Das Rheingold. So that was a piece from the orchestra rep. And the next piece that we're going to play for you is also a piece from the orchestra rep that uses the trombones. This is from Prokofiev's The Love for Three Oranges. This is the march from that piece.
As our bass trombonist has said, everything we've played up to this point has been a transcription. But I'm fixing to play a piece for Trombone Trio by Raymond Primrose. He was a trombonist himself, and I believe he wrote this piece in 1951. He was also a member of a big brass group called the London Brass. Is that? No, Philip Jones Brass. That's what he was called. So we're going to end today with two movements from a trombone trio from Raymond Primrose. We certainly enjoy playing for all of you today, and we really hope to see you at an Augusta Symphony concert sometime. Y'all have a great day. Thanks.